What's going on? My name is Kevin Kenny. Welcome to a brand new edition of the Build series live here in New York City. And our guests today, almost, you couldn't escape them last year with their hit song, Down. They're back tomorrow with a brand new album entitled Unusual. Marian Hill.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for having us.
What's going on, guys?
Oh my God.
A lot, right?
A lot.
Yeah.
You're less than 24 hours to album release. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Thank
Probably
you.
a big sigh of relief nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Heading into the big release day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it's just
time.
excitement too because we finished the record like 7 months ago. So we've been living with it for a while, and finally everybody else gets to hear it.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, really, I'm glad you brought that up, Jeremy, about how the album process worked, because sometimes, albums can go right up to the wire. You got to hit a deadline or something like that, or you kind of get it in the can, you hit some festivals, and then you get to release it to the world. What do you prefer if it was a perfect world and you had the choice?
Personally, I always work better with a deadline.
Okay.
But I think, especially making an album, it's nice not to feel rushed, actually, because I think it's best when you have the time to really think about what you're creating and to think about the flow of the album and what you want to say. So I think it actually worked out really well this time around.
Right, and do I understand that you guys were almost ready to work on new music probably this time last year, top of last year?
Yes.
But then Down broke out like nobody could possibly imagine. It became such a smash hit that you kind of had a decision to make there where you said, okay, do we go in the studio and make this new music, or do we kind of see how far can we take Down?
Yeah, it was funny because we had actually planned, like the way that our schedule had been planned out, right around when Down started happening, which was in like mid-January into February. We were like, we're going to take January, February, March, and we're going to really sink in and work on the new record. Because we had a couple songs, and we ended up, like, on the Down tour that happened soon after that, we ended up playing All Night Long and Subtle Thing. But we knew we weren't there. Like, we had barely started. These have been songs we'd, like, snuck in between things. We were about to have our time. So we figured it out, but it definitely just pushed things down the road a little bit because we weren't even ready to release anything at the time.
It's funny. I think about an act like you guys when you burst onto the scene with such a smash hit, and it kind of takes on a life of its own. We recently had Milky Chance on the show, and they I think it was 2013. Their song "Stolen Dance" kind of just went wild, and they came on the show and they were kind of like, I asked them about that song. They're like, like that. As much as we love that song wasn't really us. And so it's weird where the song takes on a life of its own. It's like, well, no, I like that song, but what about all this other Milky Chance stuff? Yeah. So looking back, do you think Down was an accurate depiction of Marian Hill? Like if you had to pick a song to sort of skyrocket like that, would it be Down?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think yes.
Yeah, I think yes too. We were definitely really lucky in that regard. Like we put it first on our album, and we knew it had to be.
Yeah, and it was so unexpected.
Yeah, but when we wrote it and then put it on the record, we were thinking of it as the song to introduce us. So it really couldn't have worked out better.
It was an invitation to our
We
sound,
just
really.
thought it was too different and strange.
Yeah,
to be
we're like,
that
no
kind of a
one,
hit.
the radio will never play this song.
So we just
we love it,
moved
but
on.
Yeah.
Well, so when you're talking about a song, choosing a song that is an introduction to yourself or an invitation, I love that.
Yeah.
What do you look for characteristically as Marian Hill?
Oh man, it's so funny because I think especially when I wanted to be an artist, I used to always think that decisions like that happened before the work. But especially when you're making a record, I found that it often happens after. Like Down was the perfect introduction to us after we'd written it and heard it. And we were like, yes, that's the thing. So like with your album process thing, for me, it's all about us having like 2 to 3 months where we're just writing. And we're just like low pressure, we're just making stuff as much as we can. And then once you have the beginnings of that, at least, you've been at it for a couple months, you can start looking at it and be like, what is the sound of this new record? What's the introduction? And this round, it was Subtle Thing. Partially because it was one of the earliest songs we wrote, but partially because I think to us it felt like a natural transition from the stuff you're familiar with to like the slightly more harder hitting electronic stuff happening on the new record.
Yeah, I couldn't actually agree more. That's really well put. It's like an evolution. Almost like if the first project was like a season 1, that's like a great episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah, thank you.
Things off.
Well, and it can be a really hard thing because I think you don't want to stray too far from what made you successful and what people like about your music, but you also want to show a little bit of a change and progress, as you said, and it can be hard to do.
But I know for us also, I don't think we ever want to write stuff that feels like the older record, and we're usually pretty on guard about that. as we're writing. It's like less exciting. Like if anything, we need to make sure we don't go too different sometimes. Because
Totally. But if you like hear a record, like you would know it's Marian Hill.
Yeah,
like it would be
absolutely.
super different.
And you know what's so funny? You guys have done such a masterful job of owning a sound. You joke like you think radio would never play down, and then radio started playing down, then commercials started playing down, and then the world started playing down. But it's such a distinct sound, and it's so authentic that you can almost spot a Marian Hill song or remix before you look down at your Spotify or your Apple Music and you see who's on the song.
yeah, thank you.
And I love what you guys do with remixes. And I want to obviously dive into Unusual, but I came across Haley Kiyoko's Curious remix that you guys did. And you took that song and really made it totally different. So for someone that could never in his wildest dreams do anything like that, can you kind of take me through the process of, and if it's a mutual process, a collaborative, like you get the song from Haley and it is what it is. What do you do from there?
Yeah, that's all Jeremy. Remixes
Okay.
are all Jeremy. I wish I could produce.
And how I always try to do it, with very few exceptions, is sometimes I'll listen to this full song first, sometimes I won't. The first thing I like to do is just pull up the acapella, open it up in Reason, the program I work in, and just listen to just the vocal line and the lyric and the melody, and go from there, basically. And that's what happened with the Haley remix for sure, is that helps me get away from whatever the groove is and find a new way to interpret it. But I just like hear it as a song that I get to arrange, and like how would I want it to work.
So when you find that groove, whatever that new groove is that you discover, is it based off of what you hear in that a cappella? Do you go off of the voice as sort of a compass, if you will?
Yeah, definitely. It all is built around that vocal. Like
Right.
sometimes a remix will even have a different sound because the vocal is produced in a different way.
Yeah. So why call the album Unusual? Where's that title come from?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I think pretty early on, I think a lot of people didn't know what to make of our music and how to categorize us and what genre it was. There's also a lot of confusion about us as a duo. People often think it's me or my name is Marian. It's not true. And our music is kind of weird. We make left of center pop, really, and I think we really wanted to delve into that more so with this record.
Yeah, and it's kind of owning a thing that's been sometimes kind of frustrating because it's like we can live in an alt format, but we're not like true alt.
Yeah.
We're not true EDM. We're not true full-on pop. We kind of exist in our own little
They're like hints
little,
of jazz,
little world.
but-
Yeah, and blues and stuff. So I think for us it was about kind of just like owning that part of our music and that thing that we always strive for, which is to make something that feels like familiar and yet really unique and strange. So it's like that's the usual part's the familiar part, but something unusual is something that you're just like squinting at to try to totally get.
Yeah. The way I think of you guys is like you're an act that could have never existed in any other time but now.
Ooh, thank you.
Right? You're sort of like the product, though, of like this musical evolution and this genre blending that we've seen over the past 20 years. I remember the first time we chatted, Jeremy, you said that Nelly was a gateway drug for you into hip-hop. And I love that. I always think of that now, you know what I mean? But this blending of jazz and hip-hop and pop and all, you guys have all come together and made a beautiful body of work on this new album.
Thank you.
You, Jeremy, produced all 10 songs with the exception of, I know you guys brought Boy Wonder in for Differently.
Yeah.
I love Differently. I want to really dive into this track right now. But with Boy Wonder specifically, you talk about Boy Wonder, a lot of people talk about the Boy Wonder bounce or the Boy Wonder knock, like God's Plan. Drake actually had that song done and then thought it needed a little bit something extra and then sent it to Boy Wonder and he put that, that patented bounce on it. Was that what attracted you guys to Boy Wonder?
Oh man, I mean, I think he's a legend already. I think he's one of the best people making music right now in the world. So it was kind of a no-brainer when we found, like, I ran into him at a party.
Yeah, Jeremy was a fan. He really introduced me to him.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But I mean, you love if you're reading this, It's Too Late. And
Oh my
that's
God.
like
yeah.
90,
I
all
had
boy
no
bands.
idea.
Yeah.
Like,
90%
okay.
him.
I already
Like,
love him. Yeah.
But it's real, like working with him, he has such an ear for like the bounce and having it move just right. And it was so great with Differently. It needed a little extra something on the chorus.
Yeah.
And working together with him and like guiding and hearing what he's putting into it, he gave it such a really cool bounce. And he has such a nuanced ear for tempo too. Like all the time he'll be working and he'll change it like by a BPM in one way or the other and be like, ooh, this feels better. And he's usually right.
Yeah.
It's like really deep stuff.
That is really cool. I know there's a great story where Drake was kind of unsure about putting out One Dance a couple years ago because it was just so different from what he'd done. And then Boy Wonder came and he's like, that's going to be your biggest record of your career. What? You know?
Smart man.
Yeah. You guys were actually
Crazy.
recently at Billboard doing, I think it was a You Should Know segment.
Yeah.
And you were very quick to say that Drake was somebody you wanted to collaborate with. What is it about Drake? You know, talking about you loving that mixtape you did a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, well, so it's funny. Like Jeremy. So Jeremy really shows me all new music, although Drake is of course not new, but really gave me my love and appreciation for Drake. I just think he has a great melodic sensibility. I think like he's a great rapper, but he also writes great pop songs. And I really appreciate that. And I think also after listening to a lot of things that are on the radio, I just think his work speaks for itself.
And it's really refreshing.
Yeah.
It like kind of stands in its own lane in terms of what's on the radio. It's like
Yeah.
there's a certain bar of like the kind of stuff, and then there's like whatever Drake's new song is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it could be anything he wants it to be.
And he has a certain cultural cachet, and like everything that well, not everything, but a lot of what he puts out, just it lasts on the radio and on the charts, and that's not necessarily true for every big artist. It's really hard to write hit after hit. Yeah, so I really appreciate
And
that.
just because you asked us about Drake, so we have to talk about it a lot. I just think there's no one as consistent as him right now. Like he has impeccable taste, and every project is at such a high level, sonically, musically, lyrically, everything. It's pretty wild.
Definitely. And, you know, if I can kind of draw a parallel between Drake and your guys' work, I
geez.
think that we're in sort of an age, and I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing, but I do think that we're in an age of disposable music. And, and again,
Yeah.
I know that's an inherently negative or connotation to say disposable, but it's things are here, they make you feel good,
There's
and then they're
so
kind of
much,
gone.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And there is so much in
Yeah.
terms of volume of music being put out, but Drake is somebody that puts an incredible amount of thought into his verses, into the production, into the arrangements of songs. He reworks songs. Like I said, he gave God's Plan to Boy Wonder in the late ninth inning of that process. And you guys too. You listen to Unusual, which I've been lucky enough to be given a copy of, and it's well thought out. And I think that as a listener, you appreciate that. Like, oh, there was thought put into this, so I'm going to put in thought when I listen to it sonically.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
That's definitely something that's true of us.
Yeah, I always strive for. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've heard that the album is about, I've heard and I also understand now by listening to the album that it's about relationships and also gender dynamics. And I think both of those themes are apparent on differently.
Yeah.
Can you attest to that?
Yeah. So I always have to so we have a couple songs on the record that are feature the most lyrics that we've ever written. And they have a twist at the end. So
It's like
every
most
time.
lyric per
Yes.
song.
Right.
Thank you. They have a lot, very hard for me to memorize. Like I wrote it and I have no idea what I'm saying. But so Differently is about someone getting over a relationship, but it's told from the perspective of the friend. And the friend is talking to their other friend who's going through this really hard thing, telling them that you should be better than this, that you can rise above this. And then, so the chorus is from, I can't even explain this. But so the chorus is from the point of view of the friend who is not in a
Hypothetically.
who is not
That's
in
what
a
the friend
relationship.
wants to say.
Right. But
So, yeah.
chorus is that. But the verses are the friend talking to the friend getting out of the relationship.
And we play with a fun kind of, there's basically two main like true emotional things happening that the friend is like vacillating between. The one is the like, I'm jealous and mad, which everybody can so get behind. And that's kind of the feel of the first chorus when it drops in, as it's this very like deep felt, like instinctive emotional response.
Totally.
But it's like learning from the friend and giving the advice of like, you can rise above this.
Yeah.
Think about it in a different way, and then we switch things up for the last chorus, and it becomes like you can think about this differently and just walk away, and who cares?
Yeah, because I think there's such a tendency with men and women or whoever is in a relationship to kind of be like, oh, that new person's so horrible and she's the worst, but it's about just moving on and kind of recognizing it for what it was and being better than the pettiness.
Right.
Yes.
Are you alluding to, there's a great little portion of the song where you say, you say she's basic, but she doesn't know you. She's not
Yeah.
with you?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
Is that sort of
Yeah.
touching on the gender dynamics that you speak of on the record?
Yeah, and I think, we've always, from the beginning, have written from the perspective of a very strong female character, but we've never. I guess this with Unusual, we dive into it even more, and we just wanted to write a record of empowerment. And yeah, this particular song happened to be from the point of view of a woman, and yeah, so totally.
When songs like that come from a real place and you're reflecting on a past relationship, do you find that process of putting it into art and turning it into a song, does that expedite the healing process, or does that actually prolong it because now you've got to go out and perform the song inspired by this ex for, an entire touring cycle?
It's a really good question.
I think in the way we work, often it's rare that songs are purely, directly, and truly and purposefully about our lives. Far more often, it's like both of us have had breakups with annoying people. So we've written lots of different breakup songs with lots of specifics that are catered more to making the song work well and like what the theme of the song is, and then pulling on our life experiences to color it and make it feel real to us.
Yeah.
But I think we're lucky in that way because there does get to be a certain amount of personal distance, and it becomes our song. Like you own it. And it's our thing that we have made, I think.
Totally. But certainly, as you're saying, inspired by true events. And sometimes we'll write a song, and I find that it will fit something that I'm going through at the time, maybe 6 months later. So certainly gives me fuel for tour. Never run out of that. But yeah.
That's awesome. Where did the inspiration for the aesthetic of this album come from? Because we have the beautiful cover art right here, but this is also in line with the videos you guys have put out, with the episodes, which I want to talk about, that you also produced for the record. Where did that inspiration come from?
Yeah, so the cover art was created by this super talented director named Sam Cannon. She's New York-based. We found her through a friend.
Yeah,
Mutual friend.
and we'd been basically building and working on the Unusual aesthetic for a bit with our creative director, Zach, and just kind of tossing around different ideas, closing in on what specifically we were looking for. And then my friend was like, check out Sam Cannon's website. And I went to it and was just like, whoa, this is it. This is like everything we've been talking about. This is it. And that's where this came from. Our favorite version is the GIF version where it's blinking at you. But it has this perfect kind of just like slightly uncanny, like beautiful and familiar and yet like strange and new at the same time. And it's all kind of been growing out from that, like trying to find things that fulfill that. And the more things we make, the more we realize what works and what doesn't feel like it, and the more defined the aesthetic gets.
Totally.
Right. It's almost, this is just my own perception of both the aesthetics and the music, but it's almost like something beautiful, but just slightly off.
Yeah,
You know?
totally.
Yeah, which is,
Yeah.
sonically, it pairs well with the album.
Exactly.
Talk to me about these episodes, and for anyone watching at home that doesn't know about these episodes, it's really cool. I would try to explain it, but I think you guys would do a better job. They're like, 60-second adaptations of each song? Would you say that?
I would say that they are
Like
vignettes.
companions.
Has been one of our
Yeah.
favorite
Okay,
words
that's
for
cool,
them.
yeah.
They're just like little moments. I think I got excited about when you're putting out new music in this day and age. You need so much content, so many like little versions and teasers and all this stuff. And in the past, we're always generating that last minute and like basing it on like making little lyric videos, or, like whatever it is. And we were like, what if we made that an artistic choice instead of a marketing choice, but an artistic choice that could then function as the marketing choice? And the idea of leaning into YouTube content and like everything you can share on all these different platforms, like a minute's a really nice type of video that we're used to. And so we were like, let's make 10 little unusual moments. Let's see what they are. And it was just about like a long document with all three of us, me, Sam, and Zach, contributing ideas and whittling them down and perfecting them and then making them.
Yeah. And now there's going to be 10,
Yeah.
right? So one for each track.
Yeah.
But not all 10 are out yet, right?
No.
Okay, cool.
Still have a few left.
Yeah, I think
mid-season.
we've got
Three?
like 3 or 4
Yeah.
left. But it's fun. We wanted it to be able to start way before the album and continue after,
Right.
so that you're still having more new things coming to help you deeper appreciate the record once it's out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I really appreciate what you guys are doing is it's really an immersive experience, right? Like all of these things are sort of leading us to this world that is eventually tomorrow going to be unusual.
So
Yeah.
crazy.
You know? Yeah, it's wild, right?
Yeah.
We're less than a day
Came up
away.
so fast.
But that to me is something that I used to love as a kid, where like the cover of the CD would look like the music video, would look like the liner notes, would look like the concert tee you get at the
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
And it's like era is a term that fans love to use now. It's like it's an immersive era.
Yeah.
Puts you there, which is
I
really
love
cool.
that. Funny little anecdote. We're selling a lot of merch on tour.
There you go.
So I think
Very
that's a
organic
really great
plug.
indicator. Yeah, I love that.
That's really cool.
Means we're doing well.
And
You guys are now, if I'm not mistaken, I know you got the date tomorrow, Brooklyn Steel
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
in New York, May 11th. The album
Yeah.
release. Really, it's a party, but also a show.
Yeah.
But this is a longer, wider tour that's going on with you guys right now.
Yeah, we're actually coming up to the end of it, but we've been on the road since April 11th, maybe. We started
So before Coachella.
So yeah, a couple days before, and then we did Coachella, and then worked our way through the southeast, and then we're finishing in Minneapolis on the 16th.
But yeah, we've been living in a tour bus for a month, and we
Yeah.
just got home this
Yeah,
morning.
slapped on some eyelashes,
Yeah, exactly.
they look awake.
Well, it's as I've said time and time again, it's a very exciting time to talk to you. We have some audience members that would like to talk to you as well. So let's
Oh,
get to
great.
our
Yeah,
first
let's hear
question
it.
right here.
Cool.
I was wondering, I loved that music video, and I like that music videos have now become more artful. And I'm wondering, do you guys, I guess, kind of take those as seriously and like scrutinize those as much as you do the songs, or is that kind of like, or is it more secondary, like a companion, as you were describing?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was gonna say music videos are actually really hard for us because I think we live with the songs for so long, and it can be really hard to find a director to work with and to find a treatment that is sort of in line with your aesthetic and what you want to do. But certainly we go back and forth with the director a lot. It's rarely ever the first treatment that we decide. Yeah, but it is really important to us.
And
being consistent.
speaking specifically to what you said, I think I wish we didn't take music videos as seriously as we do songs, but we do. I say I wish we didn't because it's really hard, because we can take our songs really seriously because we know how to make
Yes.
them really well.
Yeah,
like
we
we're
know.
very experienced. We know all the tools. We do it every day. I'm not a filmmaker as much as I want to be sometimes. I'm just not. So it can be a lot harder to make sure that the video and the vision of the video is exactly what you want it to be when that's not your area of expertise. But we've been really lucky to surround ourselves increasingly with collaborators that we work with more and more and develop a shared vocabulary with, and really like the Differently video too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, it's so funny, we'll like throw in an idea and the director's like, we can't do that. Like, do you have another several grand? No, but yeah. Jeremy's up.
Next one will come from right here.
Hi, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
I was wondering if, when in your life did you know that you wanted to pursue music professionally, or did you always know?
Yeah, for me, I grew up singing. I always loved it, but I don't think I seriously considered it until high school, and then didn't take steps to actually fulfill that until like post-college when Marian Hill happened. A little bit before maybe, but Marian Hill was certainly the first big thing.
And for me, I was always doing music, but I think this particular path in music, like producing and writing my own songs all the time, and that being the way I could make a living, was something that was a big pipe dream. Like through high school into college, I was like pursuing other things more seriously. Like I was also thinking about being an actor. I was thinking about being a composer in the more traditional sense. And really, it was just after college, I started getting better at producing, and I was like, let me just give this one try. And we sent Whiskey out to a bunch of blogs, and like within a year, we were in a place where I was like, oh wow, I think I might be able to just do this.
Mm-hmm.
But it really wasn't until then that I think I knew that like I definitely could. Before then, there was always kind of I would love to, and I'm pursuing it from this angle and this angle and this angle, but like we'll see, and I could also do this.
Yeah, that was kind. You said we sent it to a lot of blogs. It's really Jeremy. This is the reason. Jeremy is the reason that Marian Hill happened for sure. You emailed like 60 blogs, something insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you also want to be in the NBA?
When I was in like elementary school, yes, that was the dream. And I didn't make the 7th grade basketball team, and it broke my heart. And then I auditioned for the musical, and here I am
This
today.
falling.
And yeah, the rest is history. That's amazing. We have time for one more studio question.
Hi.
Hi.
Our next question is going to come from an online viewer.
Cool.
Danielle is asking, do you have plans for a tour in South America?
Yes, would love to do that. Nothing. Can we say, nothing on the books yet. I think we have a date that.
I don't
Can
know.
we announce?
Not that
I
I
don't
of.
know. Stay tuned. Tell her to stay tuned. We
So
would
let
love
us stay
to.
tuned. We would love to.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, guys, congratulations on
Thank
this
you.
record. It's going to be, I mean, I can't wait for everyone else to hear it. Again, the album Unusual is out and available everywhere music is sold. You
Yeah.
say store shelves. There's no more store shelves.
No.
Just wherever music is available. Unusual
All the music places.
drops at midnight, guys. Thank you so much to you watching at home and, of course, Marian Hill.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.